kind of rides as we go. Like some years ago, during the week, it was just it was
Hey everybody. So, I went to PAX West this year, and I'm not even sure where to start, to be honest with you. I had an incredible time walking around, talking to devs, playing games, buying merch. It was one of the best weekends of my life, in all honesty. It's the second time I went to a big convention, preceded by earlier this year, in fact. I went to C2E2. Also pretty dope. But it was my first time going to C2E2 this year, and I had some anxiety issues, but that's not the point. We're here to talk about PAX West, and let me tell you, I really don't know where to start. Getting there, staying with my friends in downtown Seattle, and walking around, even though I was alone, I was only just staying at a friend's house, I never really felt alone. Everyone there was so kind, and I talked to a lot of strangers and honestly made a lot of good, hopeful friends that I hope to stick around and play games with in the future. Before I even start talking about the devs and interviews I was able to get and games I was able to play, I do want to give a special shout out to Night Shift Games. I've bothered them on Twitter a bit before, and when I went up to them, the guy, I believe Pedro, he came up to me and said, "You're Harley," and let me tell you, it already made the whole weekend, and that was just day one of PAX. Out of the 3 days I went, Saturday and also Monday. So there's that. Thank you guys for being so kind and letting me play your game multiple times. LC is really fucking dope, and I highly recommend it. When it comes out, of course, just look it up on Twitter. Trust me, I'll link it somewhere in this. I don't think I'll be able to talk about every single game I played here, even though I have a little list. I feel like it wouldn't do it justice, because I tried to make a video beforehand about where I talked about every game I remembered just a little bit, and I just didn't like how it ended up. I can tell you the highlights of it at least, and I feel bad about leaving any games out, but if I can't do it justice, why talk about it? So we will talk about the first game I played, Elsie, and interview the devs of, and if you like Mega Man type games, procedural generated, they said themselves that it was sort of designated for the hardcore gamer. Let me tell you that I think you should look this up and play it. It was the first indie game I played, like I said, like a million times already, and honestly I had a huge blast with it, and it was pretty damn hard. So I ended up only lasting like a couple minutes per time, and I kept coming back, and they kept dealing with me throughout the whole PAX. Bless their souls. If I sit here and think about all the highlights, one of the games later that I got to play was Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I know it's a sort of a more known title because I think it debuted at E3 this year. Let me tell you, that game blew me away, and honestly I can't wait till it comes out. I think it's going to come out about a week from when I made this, so I'm really itching to go on that game, because it's one of those games where you sit down with it. You can get it on multiple consoles, but I think it's best with Switch, where you sit down in bed with it in a handheld mode, put your headphones in, and just lose yourself in the game, because I found myself smiling, laughing, and having a good time just at the awe of how beautiful it was made. The wait in line was worth it, though it kind of sucks to see people get in line just to get the pin, even though I know it's all about the penny arcade and it's a big deal and you can get money off of it, but I hope those people enjoyed the game as much as I did, because it was an instant buy as soon as I played within the first minute, if I'm being honest with you. There's so many good times. Like, I got to go to the Eastbird booth, that is where World of Horror was, and Nirvana, the sequel to Valhalla, which was the first visual novel I ever liked and is my favorite visual novel. And interviewing both the creator of World of Horror and the lead dev of Nirvana / also writer was just a great experience. Gushing to them about their game, making a fool of myself because it was like an amateur interview. it was still a good time. And it was great to see these people's passion projects out here and them playing it and them seeing it and enjoying them play the game. And PAX is just so damn dope. That being said, I personally thought I wouldn't enjoy World of Horror as much as I did, but man, I sat down and I played the scenario I was given, and it was so interesting and creepy, and I loved it. And as for Nirvana, it still has just that tight atmosphere that Valhalla did. And even though they kind of plopped you down somewhere in the middle, obviously, in the demo, I can't wait to learn about the characters, because that's what that game's all about. It's just such a clusterfuck of games to go through. But there's another game I want to talk about called Bravery Network Online by the studio Gloam. And it was one of the two games I was looking forward to when researching what games were going to be at PAX West this year. Very Scott Pilgrim-esque artwork, has Pokemon elements and RPG battle elements, and it's set in a, and I believe I quote, a post-apocalyptic world where no one can die. And it's just a game of give in. No one can really hurt each other, so they just go on until people cannot do it anymore, and you win. And getting to see all these characters in action and the different mechanics of the game, it was so unique, and honestly, I can't wait for this game to come out. This is a top tier game that I hope everyone looks forward to, because I had a blast playing it and talking to the devs that were there. Shout out to them, because they also let me gush about their game a whole lot. The whole indie mega booth had nothing but great games, and I just felt so lucky to be able to be playing these games, and just I like to repeat myself a lot, but these devs work so hard on this game, and it shows. And events like PAX West and any other events that showcase indie games, it's just great, and I fully recommend anyone to go to. I know there's going to be a lot of games, like I said earlier, that I can't really all talk about. Some games have already come out. I didn't touch any of the first-party games there because the lines were egregiously long. But those games are also coming out in a few months. You know, the Nintendo booth, the Borderlands 3, which is already out as of the day of this recording. Final Fantasy 14 Online was there. Tekken, the mobile game from Capcom. There's a bit much to get into those lines, if I'm being honest with you. At the end of the day, after spending a whole lot more money than I thought I would or should have, I didn't regret a single thing I bought. I got some dope souvenirs from there. I made good friends. I did my first interviews, and honestly, we really like to go again next year if it's in the cards. I think for the rest of this video, I'm just going to leave it with the GoPro footage that I got of me walking around, and I'm sorry if it's a little bouncy. The GoPro stabilization is generally pretty good as it is, but I hope you enjoy a nice look at PAX West 2019 and all the dope people and things that were there, because I did, and I think you should have a good look yourself. Thanks for listening.